Well, hi again, Monster fans. Welcome to another edition of Monsters OT. We're presented by Century Federal Credit Union, only here on Rock Sports. In just a minute, we'll hear from my co-host, Brad Thiessen. But a big show for you today. We will go through the car wash at Whistle Express in Parma with Luca Pinelli. We'll catch up with Monsters digital content coordinator Nick Blazer. He's got the breakout a little bit later on. And we will hear from former Monsters coaches Jared Bednar and Nolan Pratt as we are getting closer to the Monsters celebrating the 10-year anniversary of their 2016 Calder Cup championship. But as we begin the show, as always, let's do it again. Time for headlines. All right, well, welcome Brad Thiessen back into the mix. Thies, let's start with some real true headline news for the Cleveland Monsters, and that, of course, starts with Luca Del Bel being named an AHL All-Star for the second consecutive season. He is going to be representing the North Division in Rockford from February 10th to the 11th at the AHL All-Star Classic, and this is a well-earned honor for a guy leading the team this year in goals, assists, points, power play goals. He's an all-star. He's playing like it, too.
Yeah, like you said, a well-deserved honor for Luca, proving that he is one of the top players in this league, night in, night out. And the Monsters rely on this guy a lot for offense, and he's provided it on most nights. It's fun just to kind of see the maturation process in his development.
Yeah, for sure. You see his numbers there with Columbus this season, a good chunk of time, 13 games played, and then 24 games in Cleveland, over a point per game. And just that process from year one to year two, now in his third professional season, he has shown consistent growth and development. And Trent Vogelhuber, his head coach, when we were speaking in Providence just a few days ago, was really adamant that this is a guy who takes the advice his staff gives him and he puts it to good use.
Well, another guy that's taken the feedback we've given to him and has applied it. And the first one for him, year one, was just physically. Tools, with the skill set and mentally, he's a very cerebral player who understands the game. He's detail-oriented. He sees the ice well. So those are things that, again, are super hard to teach at this late in the game with players their age. But he bought in, and he's hit the weight room. You can see him protect pucks stronger. Helps him dig in on face-offs more, which helps him get on the ice. Helps you defend better in those battles. It's one-on-one battles all over the ice. So he comes up with it more, then he can deploy those skill sets that he has. So proud of him. Process certainly isn't done. He's still a young player that has room to grow physically and, and obviously getting better on the hockey side as well. But I love his coachability. I love his commitment to his craft. And, he's third-year pro and scores a lot of points for us, so he stepped in and started developing a leadership role as well.
I like what he had to say at the end there, Brad, about, taking on a leadership mantle just, because of his production. But you've been around for Del Bel's entire time here in Cleveland. What have you noticed personally in his development from when he arrived in this league until now, a two-time All-Star?
Well, yeah, his greatest gift is his ability to think the game. And I think that, first coming into the league as a rookie, you could tell him trying to figure things out. And now the game has slowed down for him. He's able to really use that gift that he has and, find people in the right spots and get to the right spots himself. So he's someone that is an elite player and an elite gifting in that area, and it's fun to be able to see that happen.
All right, well, let's move along on headlines to another big bit of headline information for Cleveland recently, and that is the AHL contract that was signed by former Ohio State Buckeye Tate Singleton as he was competing this season on a couple of different PTO deals. But this is a huge step for a guy that was a big scorer in the ECHL and has now sort of forced the team to put him into this role and keep him around for the rest of the season. He's made a huge impact, Brad.
Yeah, he's been such a great fit for the Monsters this year. High energy player on the ice and off the ice. He's fit right in the locker room. He's someone that brings a great attitude, great work ethic to the rink every day. Guys gravitate towards him, and well-deserved honor or contract here.
And you see at the ECHL level about a point per game player, and then at this level just sort of doing whatever he needs to do to earn a spot on this team. It's something he has done now as he'll be here for the rest of the season. And his coach, Trent Vogelhuber, spoke to the fact that the team really had no choice given the way that Tate was playing.
Ultimately, it's pro hockey and it's a development league for sure, but this is people's livelihoods and careers, and you have to reward players that take opportunities and force their hand. He's the second guy we've converted this year to a full-time contract because they've stepped in and like you said, just forced our hand. He Another guy never gets outworked, below average size, always in the mix, plays way bigger than he is. I think every team we've played this year knows who he is at the end of the game because he's in the hard areas, engages physically, keeps himself fit as an under average player so that he can play that style and still remain available for us. It just makes us better when you have people pushing from the bottom, which is where he kind of started this year. And I think it's so important that players get rewarded for what they earn, because ultimately you want everybody to recognize that if you put the work in and you do it right, that there's going to be rewards at the end of that path and process. So we're super excited to have him for the rest of the year. Fits into our team. Awesome guy. He's right in the mix teammate wise. And I'm excited, and the guys are excited as well.
Well, I like that point that Trent made at the end there, Brad, just about, having a carrot for these players that are on PTO deals. Justin Pearson earned an AHL contract the same way, now Singleton. And for all those players, if you're wearing a uniform, there's something you can earn just by the way you go about your business.
Yeah, for sure. And you saw with Roman and Sean last year doing the same thing. So, the organization has shown if you perform on those tryout contracts, there's an AHL deal waiting for you. And these guys have all earned it.
All right, let's move on to another guy who just made his AHL, his professional, his Cleveland Monsters debut. I'm talking about rookie defenseman Luca Morelli. Now, this was a big scoring player in junior, and with the Oshawa Generals put together a nice 4-year junior career. Third-round choice of the Blue Jackets last season, and he's been coming back from a long-term shoulder injury, Brad. But in Providence, got into a game, and hey, earned his first point per game guy as a professional player.
Yeah, it's just great to see Luca on the ice. We've seen him ever since training camp, working hard on the side, doing his rehab, doing the work to come back from that surgery, then slowly getting back on the ice and working himself back into shape, and then to be able to have that all capped off with playing his first pro game. Really happy for him, and looking forward to seeing what he can do with the Monsters and help out, especially on the offensive side in the second half of the year.
It's the third Luca on the roster this year for the Monsters, and Trent Vogelhuber talked in Providence about how they're going to work him in terms of playing time to the lineup, what with the long layoff.
I mean, we're going to put him in situations to succeed 5-on-5. He's going to get some 5-on-4 time because I think that's one of his skill sets that he can help the team. And I think the player is going to decide that a little bit. He's been working real hard, and we're going to, we're not going to ease him in with 10 minutes here. We're going to let him play. After last night's performance and as we roll into the second half of the season, there's a lot of playing time and spots that need to be competitive and that are open for grabs, and he's in the mix for that, so we're going to give him an opportunity to earn that.
Well, Trent speaking there in the heels of a 5-0 loss, so he was not as chipper as he is most mornings there. But, for Luca Morelli, this is a great thing. He's healthy, he's back, he's a part of the team. Let's get it going now on headlines with another Luca. We talked about Del Bel Belluz, we talked about Morelli. Now we got to hit Luca Pinelli because he's putting together an outstanding rookie season. Let's go through some of the numbers here, Brad. 24 points in 32 games played for Cleveland this season. He's already had his first NHL call-up. 3 games for Columbus at the end of, November heading into December, and top 10 among rookies league-wide in points, assists, shots, power play goals, game winners, overtime goals. I mean, let's not lose the fact Luca Pinelli is having an outstanding first pro year.
He sure is. He's been counted upon by the Monsters to provide offense and put in a lot of big spots, and he's provided what they've needed. He's such a fun player to watch because the energy that he brings on the ice, the way that he plays, he's got that a little bit of a rat to him where he can get in on the forecheck and get under guys' skin, but also combine that with an elite skill set. So he's had such a great rookie season so far.
Yeah, certainly a guy who you could see him becoming a fan favorite if he spends much time here in Cleveland. Some housekeeping on headlines now to wrap things up. Let's look at the North Division standings here. Syracuse, at the time of this taping, they are technically in first place, but tied in the point column with the second place Laval Rocket. You've got the Toronto Marlies in third place in the North Division, 45 points. That's one clear of Rochester. Belleville, despite having played, I think it's 5 more games than Cleveland has, they are 1 point clear of the Monsters. So technically, Cleveland on the outside looking into the playoff picture right now, and then Utica bringing up the rear. But certainly so much left to be settled, and all those teams in that top tier really 1 through 6 in the division within striking distance of one another. And then finally, just wanted to make note of the injury report. Monsters have been dealing with injuries for weeks. They're almost all resolved right now. Riley Bezo has missed 4 games with an upper body injury, but nice to get Max McHugh and Rylan Mosley back on the most recent road trip after long layoffs there. And then on the defensive side of things, Stan Sposel, Will McKinnon, both healthy and ready to go. Well, that'll do it for headlines here, as we've got a lot more Monsters OT coming your way shortly. Coming up, we'll head to the car wash in Parma. It's Keeping It Clean with Luca Pinelli at Whistle Express Car Wash. That's after these messages on Monsters OT, brought to you by Century Federal Credit Union, only here on Rock Sports. All right, we're back, keeping it clean at Whistle Express Car Wash in Parma, and our guest today, Luca Pinelli. Pins, thanks for doing it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the obligatory car question, right? What are you driving these days?
Right now I got a Jeep Wrangler.
Jeep Wrangler? How's
yeah.
that treating you?
It's great. Yeah, I love the Jeep. It's good.
Okay, if you could choose any car to be driving, what would you be driving right now? Money's no object.
I'd probably have to say maybe like a Bugatti.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pushing, but yeah, probably that. I don't know, those are pretty sweet.
Obviously, you played your junior in Ottawa. You were the captain there a couple of years. But just take us through a little bit of your background through the game of hockey.
Yeah, I mean, grew up in Stony Creek, Ontario. I have 2 older brothers. I kind of followed their footsteps. Played minor hockey in Toronto for Toronto Junior Canadians, and then obviously played the last 4 years in Ottawa.
Yep.
Had a great time there, and obviously now I'm here. So.
You know, the fans have certainly noticed you. You certainly contributed in the postseason last year. Tell us about your game a little bit, because you've got that offensive skill and you can definitely score and get to the net, but at the same time there's sort of an edge going on with your game too, and I think the fans have noticed and appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a player who has a scoring touch, and I also have a little bit bite to my game, so whether it's getting under the opponent's skin or just playing hard, I think I've kind of had that in my DNA for when I was a kid. So
that's great. When you were a kid and you were watching the NHL and watching these players, like, who stuck out to you? Who did you want to emulate, or who was an influence maybe on the way you played?
I'd probably say my favorite player was Patrick Kane. He's obviously a sick player, so I'd say him, or a guy like Brad Marchand. He gets a little bit of a pest in him, so and he can also play the game really well, so I think him too.
For the fans that don't know you as well quite yet, tell us a little bit about like what you're into music-wise. Like, what do you listen to these days?
I'm definitely a big rap guy. I like my country, and maybe a little bit of EDM. So some house party music, I guess.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Who's controlling the music in the dressing room? That's what everybody wants to know.
I think it's Roe, and I'm usually the guy to turn off the music, try and fade it away in the practice rink. So yeah.
All right, good stuff. Well, I think we're just about through it here. All right, that's Luca Pinelli, and that'll do it for another episode of Keeping It Clean. We got to get to practice, so we'll see you guys next time. Welcome back, everyone, to Monsters OT, presented by Century Federal Credit Union here on Rock Sports. It's time for what you've all been waiting for. It's another edition of The Breakout with Monsters Digital Content Coordinator Nick Blazer. We've got the title card up, and we are highly anticipating this segment. Nick, what do you have? We don't know what you're throwing at us, so what do you have today?
Yeah, so the fans across the internet have 3 hard-hitting questions for you guys in this edition of Monsters OT, with the first one being, what is your hottest take when it comes to changing an AHL rule?
Okay, Brad, go for it.
I've heard this one a couple times, and I don't mind it, as changing the trapezoid rule, where the goalies can't play it inside the trapezoid, only outside the trapezoid. So having to go out to the corner, play pucks, not being able to go in behind the net, I think that would change the way things happen with the goalies there.
I'm going to defer to my broadcast partner, Jock Callender, on this one. This is his pet, cause. If you stay down on the ice because you're hurt to draw a penalty, you shouldn't be able to participate in that subsequent power play. You shouldn't be on the ice for it.
That's an interesting one. Mine has always been a minor penalty in overtime should only be 1 minute long.
Ooh.
I think in a 5-minute 3-on-3 overtime period, having potentially an iffy call should not have that big of a drastic outcome on the game. You're still getting a 4-on-3 power play, but only for a fifth of that overtime period.
Interesting.
That's always been
okay.
mine. Moving on to our next question. You guys are just at home on an off night just watching hockey. Can you actually enjoy it like a normal person? Are you constantly looking at strategic things? Are you calling the game in your head on your own? Are you able to just kind of enjoy the game when you're not coaching or broadcasting?
Here's one of my favorite expressions. The mailman doesn't take a walk on his day off. No, I'm definitely not calling the game in my head. Mostly it's to watch all, the people that you've come into contact with throughout a career in the hockey business. Because at this point, you watch an NHL game and you're like, oh, there's so-and-so, there's that guy. Oh, there's the trainer that you used to work with or whatever it might be. So that's what I find myself doing most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. I think during the regular season, it's very casual watching, throw it on at night, see who's playing, watch different teams, maybe some certain goalies that maybe I got an eye on trying to catch up on. But more so it comes in the playoffs. Stanley Cup playoff hockey is the best time of year to watching games, and that's kind of when I kind of tune in more as a fan there and just enjoy what that's all about.
Great point. I should have mentioned that. It does all change come the playoffs because, as all you guys know, the moment that puck hits the ice for the playoffs, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And our last question is just the fans always like to know what the team's up to while on the road. We just got back from a lengthy road trip. What's the most fun thing the team has done as a group or the staff as a group during a road trip while you guys have been on the team?
That's a tough one, Brad. Anything pop to mind?
Well, with my job, I don't travel on the road anymore with the team, so I think back in the days. But it's always fun to go to these different cities because whenever you go, you have certain places circled on the calendar, this restaurant here, that place there. So those are always fun to be able to go see different spots each year. But I know there's always team dinners and team outings that go on. I think curling's been one in the past years, things like that. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just the meals, on the long trips on the bus, playing cards, all that stuff. That's what the guys really enjoy doing. And for me, it's just cool to see a bunch of these great cities. We were just in Providence, for instance, and if you've never been, a great spot in New England there. And really anywhere you go, there's something on the road in the AHL to keep busy when you're not cramming your prep work into the final hour before you got to head over to the rink.
Perfect.
All right, that is Nick Blazer. Good stuff from Nick. That's the breakout, and this is Monsters OT. We'll take a break and be back with more in a moment on Rock Sports. Welcome back, everyone, to Monsters OT, presented by Century Federal Credit Union here on Rock Sports. Tony Brown back with you. And right now, this final segment's where we think back to old memories from Monsters lore. And this season, the Monsters are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of their 2016 Calder Cup championship. And we've been very lucky to be able to get into touch with so many of the coaches and players, even executives from that team. And I spoke recently with head coach Jared Bednar. He's gone on to some pretty big things with the Colorado Avalanche, and his longtime assistant Nolan Pratt still collaborating with Beds. I asked these guys via Zoom, what made that coaching staff back in 2016 so special?
Well, chemistry was really good. We're still really good friends this day. Toby joined us on our staff here in Colorado for a little while. Daryl Seward, big piece of it. Great guy, and he's still working in the game as well. Spent a bunch of time in St. Louis, and now he's getting ready for the Olympics. So we were all really good friends. We all kind of have a similar view on the game, I think. And and it wasn't even just us. It was sort of like the morale and the camaraderie with the support staff, and Jock was kind of like our leader and had been in Cleveland and welcomed us with open arms, and we felt comfortable in a short period of time, coming there and winning the first year. So Bill surrounded us with a bunch of really good people and hardworking people, and I think with the staff, it's the view of the game. We all kind of saw things the same way. We'd spent a couple of years together in Springfield before we came there, and it was I like the fit of the group, all the guys kind of taking care of their own business and helping each other out along the way.
We also won. The Calder Cup was our second championship. The coaching staff won 3-on-3 versus the players that year. So with Toby, myself, and Bedsy. So yeah, but we had a lot of fun as a group with the players, staff, and coaches, obviously, as well. So
That is true. Make sure you leave that in this video
Yeah.
so all our players get to see that.
they know it too.
Well, that's what that picture was, those guys celebrating their 3-on-3 championship. But Brad, right there you can see just in about 90 seconds from those two how special a group that was, how easy it was to be around that team. You know, you were in the dressing room, special staff.
Yeah, they were just a great staff. They were cohesive. They all got along really well. You could tell they were all on the same page with the way that they wanted to coach. And as players, you can sense that. And you know, it was a lot of fun playing for those guys.
Anybody that I've had a chance to talk to for this project, you ask them to think about those days, the first thing anyone does is smile. That was a special year and a lot of fun and a lot of great memories. Well, that'll do it for another edition of Monsters OT. Keep your eyes peeled going forward as we get closer to that Calder Cup celebration. We'll have lots of good stuff here on Rock Sports. Thank yous to hand out today, of course, to Leo Simone, Jeremy Hawks, our outstanding crew. Got to thank Brad Thiessen. Got to thank Nick Blazer, of course, and Century Federal Credit Union. I'm Tony Brown. Until next time, this has been Monsters OT, and you watched it only here on Rock Sports.